What's going on, guys? It's Jay Camaro here with another episode of Flashback Friday. Now this video is going up on Saturday just because I had to do my Crysis 3 initial thoughts of the beta on Friday night. I uploaded that early this morning because I started uploading it last night and then I uploaded it. It was finished uploading this morning. My internet's not very good. Today we're going to be taking a look at the original Crysis for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. It was developed by Crytek and published by EA Studios. Now, one thing I have to put out there before I start this episode, I am doing actually the second level in the game because the first one is pretty much just one long cutscene, and I didn't really want to go through like all of that and have most of the video just be like just a cutscene. So I decided to use the second mission because there's more combat, less cutscenes, and more action. That does mean that there are a couple, maybe, like, spoilers. I don't really consider them spoilers because you're so early in the game, but somebody else might consider them spoilers. So if you don't want to learn about what happens, like, a half hour into the game, then do not watch this video, I guess. So, Crysis. Now, this is a very interesting game, especially with the release dates. It is actually kind of like two different complete release dates. It was actually released on the PC way back on November 13th in 2007, and it was a PC exclusive for a very long time until last fall, where EA announced that they're bringing it to the consoles as a downloadable title for $20, and that was released for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 both on October 4th of 2011. So, Crysis. The PC version definitely runs a lot better, and that's really this game's kind of claim to fame. Although the story was good and the gameplay was nice, the graphics on this game were insane. If you had a good PC, it could just, it could perform super well. The graphics were just super high res and lots of really nice, like, lighting and open world, and it was really good. The console version, although it had to be dumbed down a little bit, there is no multiplayer, and some of the expansion packs, none of the expansion packs are available, and the graphics are toned down a little bit, but I still think it looks quite good on the Xbox 360, as you can see right here, especially for its open world. I kind of think of this game a little like Far Cry 3, with levels, not as open world, but I think it's really, it seems very open. Like, you can have different pathways to engage your enemies. It's not just one linear, direction where you have to shoot people. And then there's also vehicles, like boats and cars and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun to just drive around. I'm getting into one right here, and it's really just cool to engage your enemies and shoot out of it. I'm not great at Crysis, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. I'll die a couple times. I did try to cut that part out. One time I got, like, spawn trapped for a full, like, maybe like 5 spawns. So I tried to cut that part out. But I'm not super good. I don't know what's about it. I seem to run out of ammo very fast. I don't know if it's just me or the whole mechanics of the game. One gripe that I have with it is that you actually can't, like, just walk over ammo to pick it up. You actually have to look at it and press X, which is really annoying. I like just being able to walk over enemies' bodies and just pick up ammo instantaneously. Instead of having to look down, press X, and then sometimes maybe in a combat zone. So I run out of ammo a lot. I do pick up some enemy guns and punch some people, but I think I do better in this gameplay than I have in past gameplays. So the plot of Crysis is a little interesting. It's pretty much there's excavators, like archaeologists, on this island. They discover this weird, like, alien, and you and a bunch of your super soldier friends using the nano suit fly into this island and have to, like, figure out what's going on and rescue all the archaeologists, and then the Koreans show up and you have to defend yourself against them, and I think the plot's pretty cool. It's not as urban as the whole Crysis 2, Crysis 3 campaigns, where it's very in the city and lots of, like, real-world stuff. It's pretty much just like an island with some bases along it, and I actually really like that. It really shows off some really nice lighting, as well as some huge draw distances. The weapons, much like I said in my Crysis 3 open beta initial thoughts, there's not a ton of guns in this game. You pretty much got your assault rifles, rocket launchers, shotguns. You got, like, your Korean assault rifle, your normal assault rifle. As you can see, I'm already, like, running out of ammo with my assault rifle, and I barely used it at all. So a little later in this game, I think the very end, I finally do decide to pick up a Korean assault rifle and get some more ammo that way. But I can't really find any for the gun I'm currently using. Um, so the gameplay in Crysis is very it's a pretty interesting combat system. It's sort of like Halo, but it's sort of like Call of Duty. You've got kind of the mechanics of Call of Duty, but with the like superhuman abilities of a Spartan in Halo. You have two main like suit kind of like three main suit modes. You got your standard mode, and then you got your invisibility, like cloaking mode, and then your super strength mode. Those can be accessed by pressing the bumpers on the Xbox 360. It's probably some key command on the PC, but so you can trigger those and then go invisible and use your strength, but that all uses up energy, and you have like two main functions. You've got your shield, which is your energy, and then you've got your health. And and once your health runs out, of course, you die, but then your energy will come back. But you can't be sprinting or cloaking or going invisible. So you have to. Yeah, see, I kind of cut that part out because I died so many times. I think I was trapped in some landmine spot. I was able to get out over here, but so you have to use those a lot to your advantage, and that's really where a lot of tactical stuff comes from with Crysis, because you can either just come in like a super soldier, just try to destroy everything, or you can try to hit a little bit more stealth-like and headshots and stuff. One interesting part, at least on the Xbox 360 version, is that enemies could see you from really far away. So unless you're like cloaking all the time, but they just like sit in some corned-off box, people are probably going to see you, and then they'll alert everybody else. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner by the map, there's like a red bar. That pretty much, like, the higher it is, the higher the tension is among the soldiers, like where they know you are. And then the actual arrows on the mini-map, the like red and yellow ones, show each individual soldier and how alert they are to your location. So like red, they're right next to you, and then yellow, they kind of think you're there, and then of course green, they have no idea you're coming. So right here, I have to switch over to my shotgun, and I completely run out of ammo. And then you can really see something cool. That's like a civilian truck that you can just drive around, and the damage system is really cool. Like for example, as you saw where I was getting into it, one of my tires are actually punctured. Well, completely, actually. The rubber part of it was completely gone. I'm still able to drive it. I have to get out right here because I'm not going to waste time trying to turn into the gate. But I think that's really cool how they handle the damage system. You can really see where each part of your car is being impacted with bullets and how much damage you have left. And it's a really cool way of playing. I don't think there's a. I'm actually positive that there is no co-op campaign, which is a little disappointing, because I think that, especially with like the vehicle combat, it would be really cool to play online with a friend. Maybe you could do that in the original, but I don't think you can in the Xbox and PlayStation 3 version. This story, you meet up with all your friends, but a lot of times you're kind of just going in alone, trying to take out soldiers and do your Crysis thing. The characters are pretty good. Character development isn't like huge. This is definitely not like a story-driven game. It's very combat focused and graphics focused. It was powered by CryEngine, which is an engine that Crytek created, the developers of this game. Specifically for the Crysis series, and of course it's developed since the release. You can definitely see, and I don't think the differences from Crysis 2 to Crysis 3 are as huge as the differences between Crysis 1 and Crysis 2, because it's very, maybe it's just because they came out such a long period apart. I think over almost 4 years between at least the PlayStation 3 version. Of course, the console version of this game came out after Crysis 2. So, it does look very different, like the whole way you like hold your guns and stuff. You definitely feel a little bit more vulnerable in Crysis 3 than I did, at least in Crysis 2 and the Crysis 3 beta. I think you feel like you die more, and it feels like there's a very lonesome, like feel to the game. Like you're the only person there. You don't have a ton of like help and with like friends and stuff like you do in Crysis 2. Where it's like every second you turn, there's some like Marines somewhere. It's pretty much just you and your couple of squad mates, and then enemies and some civilians, then of course aliens. But I haven't gotten to the alien part yet. I haven't completely finished the campaign, but from what I've played it right now, it's a really, really good experience. It's probably not the longest campaign ever, so I do definitely think that if you're getting this on the console, you have to definitely look at the amount of replayability, because there probably is some like collectible somewhere. I just haven't figured it out yet, but there's not a huge there's not a huge reason for having to go back and replay the campaign over and over again, especially since there is no co-op and you can't really play with a friend. So the multiplayer. Now the multiplayer for this game is actually completely absent from the Xbox 360 version and the PC version, but it's a huge part of the multiplayer for the PC. I would assume it's still running right now. I don't really know if it's like turned off, because I know the EA kind of has a reputation for, after 4 or 5 years, at least if a game is like hugely popular, they do actually shut down the multiplayer components of a game. So you can play up to 32 players, which is pretty good. And it's not a huge multiplayer. You pretty much have 2 game modes, and there's 6 maps per game mode. So this is kind of like a older Battlefield games, like Bad Company 2, where like some maps could only be used in rush game mode, some maps can only be used in conquest mode. So there's not a lot of versatility, so you can't, like, unlike in Battlefield 3, where you've got this huge map and then there's like different parts of it are used for each game mode. Each map is designed specifically for each game mode, so you pretty much have just instant action, team deathmatch, as well as power struggle, where you have to destroy headquarters. There was some DLC, but it didn't add a ton to it. I think they're just like map packs and stuff. There was going to be Capture the Flag, but they decided to just not include that because it was apparently very similar to the whole power struggle thing. But I actually think more if you can put a game mode into there, I think Capture the Flag would be cool. And I've never played the original on PC, but I would assume that it was pretty fun, and I would really take anything, even if it was similar to the last part, like Battlefield 3, for example. With all the DLC, actually, Endgame is coming out really soon. I'm pretty excited for that. But each DLC has included one new game mode, and sometimes they haven't been as new as some others, like Conquest Assault, for example, with the Back to Karkin expansion pack. It wasn't really a very huge difference from the original. It definitely was. There's some similarities with it, and I don't think it could really be on its own in new game mode, but it did entertain me a little bit more. Like, I think that was cool to be able to play just something different, as well as some new maps. And then Gunmaster and all those things were added in the later Battlefield 3 packs. With, I think we've got Capture the Flag coming to Battlefield 3 in Endgame, which would be pretty cool. In the multiplayer, there's a lot of vehicles and stuff. I kind of think of it a little bit like Battlefield 3. I don't know, but especially with the pretty large amount of players, that's actually, back in 2007, that's even more than what you can get on Battlefield 3 in 2011. So even back then, PCs were better than the Xbox, apparently. So the graphics on the Xbox are going to be toned down. It only runs at 30 FPS, but it still looks quite good. One of the problems that I had with Battlefield 3 is that it's a good game, but the differences between Battlefield 3 on the PC and the Xbox 360 are blatantly obvious. It's very hard to think of the two as really a single game, because although the gameplay is the same, a lot of things are removed from the console version of Battlefield 3. Like, you can't have, the player cap is greatly reduced. Like, this game had 32 back in 2007 on the PC, and even on the Xbox 360, which is still like a $200 console, you can only have up to 24 players on either team for Battlefield 3. I don't know how it is for Crysis 3. I haven't used I haven't tried out a lot of the larger games, of course, because they're not available in the beta. But right now, there's not a lot of huge game modes. So maybe even that's less than 24 on Crysis 3. It's kind of hard to imagine. Maybe they did decide to go that way, and just use smaller amount of people to increase the frame rate and increase the graphics performance of the game. The cutscenes, I think, are really nice. Like, as you can see right here, the character like faces, their expressions and their mouth moving are very well done, and I definitely like games that players like the people talk like real people. A couple games I've played, sometimes the people just their mouths do not move very well according to their talking. And I do like that even on the Xbox 360, the characters are really good. Of course, it's not going to be anywhere like LA Noire, where it was captured using like real world like sensors around people's heads and stuff. But I think for a video game that was released back in 2007, um, and then ported to consoles, I think it was definitely really well done. The lighting also is quite good. I definitely like that's probably my favorite part of Crysis, just the way that they do lighting. Like in the very beginning of Crysis 2, I remember this. You came out of this building and you were able to see like the landscape of New York City with a bunch of like helicopters flying around and trees and stuff, and I really really liked that. Like although textures are one thing, the average player isn't going to notice each texture. Like as you can see in here, the graphics are pretty good, but when you like actually look at stuff up close, it's not going to look very nice. It's going to look very blocky. But no one's really going to look at it like that close. The lighting is really what makes the game look very good. Like right here, you can see I'm looking out I looked out the windows right there, and you're able to see the sunlight coming through the building, and I just really enjoy that. It definitely adds a new dynamic to the game and just makes it look a lot better than maybe it actually does. And I wish that more games were able to do that. Like Call of Duty, I wish that the lighting in Call of Duty was a little bit better. Halo 4, I think the lighting was okay, but I just love how the CryEngine is able to produce these really nice vistas. Like right here, you can see just that huge draw distance. This is actually a downloadable title. This is pretty. I think it's a pretty substantial game for the downloadable, like the coming of the downloadable era. Because I think, besides Xbox Live Arcade games, I think this is the first full retail release game on the Xbox 360 that was actually never released in disc format for that console. So that's really cool. You're able to. It's very accessible to a lot of people. It's $20 if I bought it. I think it's still $20. And actually, before I forget, if you actually pre-order Crysis 3, I mentioned this in my initial thoughts for the beta, but if you pre-order Crysis 3, you could actually get the original Crysis on the platform of your choice. So if you're going to get Crysis 3, don't buy this right now, because then you'll get it for free, at least from Amazon.com. But $20, you could just go to the marketplace and just download it. It's a very it's a large file, of course. I think that one of the reasons they took out multiplayer is probably since I don't know how early in the porting of the PC to the console that they decided that they were going to go downloadable, but I think that was probably a way to reduce the storage size, because I definitely have to say I've bought a lot of games on Games on Demand, and they are very, very big files, and I think the Crysis was an alright file, and I think that it's pretty accessible to a lot of people. Even I think they made the 4 GB cap, so I think maybe if you've got the standard $200 Xbox Slim with no hard drive, you might be able to buy this and download it. I don't know. Of course, you'll probably have some like saved games. I really don't understand why Microsoft only put 4 GB into that console. You're really gonna have to buy a new hard drive. But I'm getting off on a rant of something a little different from Crysis. You just go to the marketplace and you download it, and it's very very cool how they do it. And I'm able to play this game anywhere I go, so it's like, oh, well, maybe I just want to go and play Crysis right now. I go to my games and I play it, and I think that's quite cool. And anyone can really buy it. You don't have to go out to the store. Like for me, for example, I don't like going out to stores to buy my games. I think it's kind of annoying, especially as I live far away from any sort of GameStop. I pretty much live in the middle of nowhere in this small town with no, I think the closest, like, real superstore we can probably find video games is a Meijer, about 20 minutes from my house. So it is a little while to get out there. So I order a lot of stuff online, and I definitely like how they're able to go completely downloadable, because in Games on Demand you can you do have like downloadable games. I think Halo 4 actually was released on Games on Demand last week, and so that's good for somebody who didn't want to who waited and is deciding to get this instead of the full game, not the full game, the disc version of the game. But it definitely takes a little while, and this is actually release date on October. Sorry, yeah, October. It is October 4th, right? Yeah, on October 4th, you're able to just go onto the marketplace and download it, and I think that's really the future. And I think Crysis was a really good game for just showing off the future of gaming in a lot of different ways, both the graphics and the gameplay, the story, and the downloadable parts with the console versions, how you're able to play the game on release date for uh, for just downloading it on your console. I think that's definitely the future where we're going. Um, so it's very accessible to anyone who wants to get it. They just search it on the marketplace and download it instead of having to drive it to the store and find it. And I think another reason they did that is because it's an older game. I think that they kind of designed the story in Crysis 2 to kind of appeal to console players because that was the first. It was released day and day with the PC on the Xbox 360 and PS3, so they wanted to make it accessible for people who don't have a gaming PC and has never played the original Crysis and wanted to pick up Crysis 2 on the Xbox 360. So the stories are a little different. I don't think in terms of like story development you really needed to play the original Crysis to understand the story of the whole Crysis saga. I don't really know how Crysis 2 is going to fit with Crysis 3, of course, because the beta didn't have any campaign. But I think that if you don't play the original Crysis, at least in the story side, you're not going to be missing out on a ton. It's a good story. It's just not. It doesn't really have a lot of relevance to Crysis 2. In the beginning, there's a little like cutscene explaining what happened, but it doesn't really tie in a ton to the story. A little bit, but I'm not really going to get to any spoilers in Crysis 2. All of Crysis 2 actually is my not initial thoughts. Flashback Friday next week, because I'm doing these two leading up to Crysis 3. Of course, it's my initial thoughts of Crysis 3 coming after that. But anyway, I think that the reason they went downloadable was because to make it more accessible. Like, if somebody who just bought Crysis 2, just the average consumer, it's like, oh, I have Crysis 2. Why would I want to drive out to a store and pick up the original Crysis, which seems not a ton different, and came out a while ago. So I think that was a very smart decision on Crytek's part to have this game go downloadable, just to make it more accessible and more. I think that it made it more popular. I don't know how this game really sold in the beginning on the original, like, you know what I mean, on the console when it was released on downloadable. But I think it did better than that than it would have as a downloadable game. I think also the price point for $20 is a very, very good price point for games. I think that sometimes games on demand can be pretty overpriced. I think that yesterday or something I was reading a tweet from, I think, Major Nelson, and he was talking about how Halo 4 was on sale for $35 for 1 day or 2 days, something like that. And then actually in games on demand, the downloadable version of the game, it was actually still $60. So you're definitely going to be paying a premium. But I think that with the original Crysis, they were able to capture that very strong $20 release price point. And I think that was also just because you're playing a 4-year-old game, but they were able to get a really good price point in the very beginning, and I think it definitely made it sell quite a bit better. All in all, Crysis is a good overall game. I think if you're a PC player, most likely you've heard of it and or played it. It was a very popular game back in the day, and I think that it was smart for taking it to consoles, because it kind of introduced a whole new generation of Crysis players to the whole Battlefield, not Battlefield, the whole Crysis series. So, if you already have Crysis 2, pick up this game, because it's going to be a really cool entry to the Crysis series. If you don't have Crysis 2, I would still pick up this game, because the story is not as connected, and the gameplay is different, and it's pretty cheap, too. I think that the kind of unfortunate part of it is I bought Crysis 2 on Games on Demand last summer for $30, and then like the week after it was brought down to only $20. So I definitely kind of pulled the trigger a little too early on that one. But so all in all, good game for anyone who wants to play Crysis. PC players, I don't know. I don't know if it's available on Origin. I'm not one of those PC players. I don't have a gaming PC. You might be able to still pick it up on retail or just buy it on Origin. For console players, definitely, if you got 1,600 Microsoft points or 20 bucks to spare, go out and buy this game. It's a very good game. Not the longest, not the most meaty game compared to like Halo 4, where there's like campaign and all those different like multiplayer game modes, Forge, Spartanops, but a very, very good entry into the first-person shooter franchises on Xbox and PlayStation 3. It'll take a little while to download, but it'll definitely be a good game to try out and play. We're coming to the end of the gameplay right here. Actually, my capture card cut out. This was like an hour. I was just gonna take like the best, use like a best of approach and choose the best segments because I'm not terribly good at this game. So I just decided to just use it and whatever. But that's pretty much it. Good game. Crysis is Crysis 3, especially with Crysis 3 coming out, though, I wouldn't recommend buying it if you're going to get Crysis 3, because then you're going to be saving a full $20, which is pretty good. So if you're going to get Crysis 3, just get that. But if you're not going to get it, go out to your local Xbox Live Marketplace or PlayStation Store and pick up this game. You won't be disappointed. Good graphics, good story, good gameplay. Everything's pretty good about it. So if you like this video, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.